everyone, welcome back to the complete story of Pokemon Adventures, but today we've got part 8, otherwise known as the Platinum arc, which is continuing directly after the Diamond and Pearl arc, so if you haven't watched that one, I suggest you do so. But for those of you who've stayed, we're going to be headed to the Sinnoh region's Battle Frontier, in hopes of finding the secret of the Distortion World. So sit tight and get ready for this legendary mythical adventure, cause there's going to be a ton of those in this story. Our story begins at the Battle Zone, where we get introduced to its 3 areas: the Fight area, where Volkner and Flint are, the Survival area, and lastly, the Resort area. And our journey is going to be beginning there, as Platinum's written a letter to her mother. Turns out, she's split up from Diamond and Pearl, who've gone to search for the legendary Pokemon listed in Charon's book. As for herself, she's not enjoying being alone, but soon she'll be meeting with the international police. At one of the Resort area's villas, we see Steven Stone of all people, selling his villa after a successful stone searching mission. And now he no longer has any need for the villa, signing it away and heading to Hoenn. The one taking this villa off his hands is Platinum. Now we head to the battleground in the Survival area, where 4 high-level trainers battle it out. The suspicious man watching them is Looker, who now heads to meet up with Platinum, who's at her villa. Looker and Platinum exchange passwords, and they make greetings on their new partnership. Here at the Battle Frontier, there's sure to be powerful trainers holding information on the Distortion World, so their mission is to defeat them and get said information. Speaking of, they're already present, being the region's Frontier brains: Dahlia of the Battle Arcade, Fortune of the Battle Factory, and Argenta of the Battle Hall. The group split up and a Bonerang flies in, but it's predicted and caught. Turns out this attack was just a friendly gesture done by Riley, who's impressed by the facility, finding it to be even better than Hoenn's. Riley thinks back to the fight at Spear Pillar, where his foes all escaped, and sadly, he can't sense their aura anymore from the machine, and is too broken to work. Luckily for him, he has a friend, being Palmer of the Battle Tower, and he knows someone who can fix it. But before that, it's finally time to open the gates to the public, as people flock into the Battle Frontier ready to take on its facilities, including our main characters, who are greeted by a Starlybot asking if they need any help. But like the know-it-all she is, Platinum's already memorized all the rules. At the Battle Factory, you use rental Pokemon. At the Battle Arcade, you spin roulettes to see what kind of conditions you're going to fight in. At the Battle Castle, you battle through and gain items, as well as info on your opponents. At the Battle Hall, you battle one-on-one. And lastly, the Battle Tower, which is the same as Johto's and Hoenn's, where you climb up the ladder by winning battles. Although she knows all this information, the best way to understand it is to take things on herself, which Looker admires, calling her a sensible and refined lady. But someone else answers to this. Looker explains that he was speaking to Platinum, but Gallade rushes in, slashing at him, and ripping his clothes with Psycho Cut. Gallade protects the lady, and Platinum apologizes for Looker's rudeness, making him do the same. The lady heads into the Battle Castle, making Looker suspect that she's a Frontier brain, so it's decided they'll take on her facility first. Although the line for the place is super long, people are losing quickly, so they arrive in no time. The rule set in here is a 3-on-3 single battle, and watching over her battles is Caitlyn. Meanwhile, judging everything is her valet, The Rock. Platinum finishes her battle and wants to heal her team. Unfortunately for her, in this facility, you use a currency of castle points to buy items, get info, or even fully heal your team, all for varying amount of points. To regular trainers like us, this is easy management, but to a millionaire daughter, it may not be that easy. She continues through the facility, eventually earning 85 points. The Rock is curious to see her decision, and since she can't decide, she chooses to keep saving them. He then tells Looker that although she's skilled and strong, she needs to be able to manage her resources. Platinum wins her 7th battle in the 2nd set. Looker tells her that the key to victory is to use her castle points, which is exactly what she's struggling with. Looker aggressively teaches her the amounts of everything, making Platinum request he be more kind, like her previous assistants. So he begrudgingly apologizes and gives her some space. Whilst he looks through the castle, he realizes that the final battle is going to be Lady vs Lady. But in his absence, Platinum's already made it to battle 7 of set 3. In other words, the final battle against the brain. But Caitlyn isn't the one standing to fight. Instead, it's The Rock. And he doesn't want to waste any time, as the battle begins with Empoleon vs Gallade. Empoleon manages to grab Gallade, but is able to expand its blades an unlimited distance. Empoleon is weakened, so Rapidash is out next, and Platinum's on the defensive, using Protect. So The Rock goes for Feint, taking down Rapidash. Looker respects his strengths, but wonders why Caitlyn isn't the one battling. The Rock explains that she's extremely strong, and for certain reasons, she isn't allowed to battle, so that's why he fights, sending out his next Pokemon, Houndoom, whilst Platinum picks Lopunny. Platinum goes for a super effective Focus Blast, but due to a Focus Sash, it manages to hang on. So Platinum decides to switch for Empoleon to finish things off with Hydro Pump. Staraptor is up next, and with Blizzard, Empoleon has the advantage. However, Staraptor can dodge and heal with Roost. So with no other choice, Platinum keeps spamming the same attack, and eventually lands a successful blow, taking down Staraptor. The Rock's final Pokemon is Gallade once again, and Lopunny is back to battle. Gallade rushes straight in with Night Slash, leaving Lopunny barely able to attack, and it does in fact go down. Empoleon's back out, but it's already weakened, so Gallade goes for a finisher, but instead stabs itself, giving Platinum and Empoleon the chance to go for Drill Peck, giving them the win. Caitlin explains that Lopunny getting hit by Night Slash led to Gallade getting infatuated by Q-Charm, and due to his arrogance, the Rock let Lopunny get one more attack in, being Dizzy Punch, whilst confusing Gallade. Platinum thanks Looker for his advice, as she ended up sending her CP to gather tons of info on her opponents, as well as buying a Focus Sash, and ultimately finding the fun in managing resources. And as proof of her win, Platinum is gifted a commemorative print. Now that she's got the victory, she can ask about the Distortion World and Team Galactic. The Rock's never heard of the Distortion World, but he has heard rumors of Team Galactic, and they've been spotted near Stark Mountain. Their conversation then gets interrupted by a boy who claims to know about the place. For example, it's where the legendary Heatran resides. The kid is called Buck, and he's a bit on the brash side, asking Platinum a bunch of questions. But after dealing with Pearl for so long, she's able to keep her cool and answer politely. Buck reveals that he's also been doing some research on Team Galactic, and he believes that they're searching for the legendary Heatran. But although he told them this info, he doesn't plan on having them help, instead rushing to deal with the issue himself. Later in the evening, Looker mentions that Buck is the little brother of an Elite Four member. Since they failed to find information on the Distortion World, it's best that Platinum continues battling the brains. As for Looker, he should go to Stark Mountain. It will be dangerous though for him to fight Buck and Team Galactic by himself. It's time to go to bed, and Platinum offers Looker a room, but he's got his accommodation already sorted. So Platinum cares for a team and gets ready for bed. The next day rolls around and Looker's overslept. Platinum, however, is already up, and she's following a van that plays music based on roulettes. Looker wonders if she likes playing casino games, which she admits she does. So she's decided to take on the Battle Arcade. Unlike the Battle Castle, this place is empty, but not due to popularity, but instead due to difficulty. Over on Route 227, Buck is headed for the mountain, but his actions are being watched by Team Galactic, who report their findings to Charon. Back with Platinum, she's going straight into things at the Battle Arcade, spinning the roulette and getting into battles, which she easily breezes through, all thanks to her ability to precisely stop the roulette wheel in the exact place that benefits her. And the Frontier Brain Dahlia is looking forward to battling against Platinum. As for Buck, he's arrived at the entrance of Stark Mountain, calling his big brother Flynn, who's also been researching the place, and he reveals that Team Galactic are probably after the Magma Stone. As Buck progresses through the mountain, his connection cuts out, so now he's on his own. Well, if you don't include the Team Galactic members who have been stalking him. Buck beats them all down, but they keep getting up like zombies. So with the help of his clay doll, he navigates through the maze, escaping Team Galactic and finding the Magma Stone. Now we're gonna take a break from the Battle Frontier and head to mainland Sinnoh, where the Elite Four, Lucian, Aaron, and Bertha, are researching the legendary and mythical Pokemon. There's so many that even the old Bertha hasn't heard of some. Over at the hospital, the gym leaders are recovering from their injuries, and Diamond and Pearl are here looking out for them. Pearl gets a music player from the nurses, and it features his own theme song created by Crash Awake. Pearl thanks his teacher, and him and Diamond prepare for their next move. Before they can go though, they meet a Pokemon doctor, who's been taking care of Platinum's injured Pokemon, this doctor being Daisy Oak from Kanto. Daisy wonders if Platinum can handle Gym Leader's Pokemon, and Pearl lets her know that she's beaten all of the leaders, so she definitely can. Bebe is also here, and mentions that if Blue were here, he would definitely want to have a battle against Platinum, and once her team's healed up, they'll send them over to the battle zone. Diamond and Pearl have a meeting scheduled, and the person who called them over is a pretty odd looking guy. They both don't recognize him, until he reveals that he's the statue that would always speak to them inside the gym. In other words, the Sinnoh Pokemon Association chairman. He thanks them for all of their help with Dialga and Palkia, and with the notes that they took from Charon, the Elite Four has managed to find a ton of information. Lucian did most of the deciphering, and Aaron summarized it. Not only that, they asked Professor Oak to help them out. Diamond wants to know why there's only 3 of them, especially when they're the Elite Four. They explain that they're like the gym leaders, so they don't always work together. Now it's time for their adventure to begin again, as Diamond and Pearl suit up for the cold, equipped with their new Poketches. However, they're not going to be going alone, as the Chairman and Dr. Footsteps are joining their crew. Now we can head back to the battle frontier, as Platinum's next battle is against Dahlia. She prepares to precisely stop the wheel for paralysis, but everything starts to shake due to what's happening on Stark Mountain. But more importantly, Platinum's missed her chance to stop the wheel, and her time limits ran out, meaning it's up to Dahlia to stop it. And the panel lands on Switch, meaning they're going to be battling with each other's Pokemon. The battle starts with Togekiss vs Lopunny. Platinum knows her Pokemon well, but for that very reason, she can't bring herself to attack them, so Togekiss ends up going down. Dahlia doesn't care about battling her own Pokemon, after all, it's just a battle. Sending out Empoleon to attack Ludicolo. The battle's intense and Platinum can only find herself defending on the back foot, however, she won't give up. She doesn't have the time to take on the facility again, as she has to learn about the Distortion World and go there herself, resolving her will and attacking her own Pokemon. She tells her team that she won't go easy on them, and she doesn't want them to go easy either, and so the battle resumes with Platinum trying for victory. At Stark Mountain, Luca searches for Buck, finding him injured. Buck asks Luca to help his Claydol, and he explains what went wrong. Once he acquired the Magma Stone, he wanted to take it and keep it safe, but everything started to rumble, as it turns out the stone was a seal for awakening Heatran. As Charon appears, with the Pokemon under his command. He attacks them with Magma Storm, and Luca tells Buck to use Teleport. Buck reveals that they can't travel far with it, and he can't go to places he's never been to. But Luca wants him to teleport the Magma Stone to them. If they can get the stone back in its place, it might be able to stop Heatran. So they split up and get to work, as Luca ties up Charon and Buck and Claydol find the Magma Stone. Luca interrogates Charon on why they're searching for Heatran, and Charon explains that Team Galactic don't care about this world anymore, instead focusing on the other side. And to do that, they're gonna need an army, hence the Heatran. And if you needed me to spell it out, this other side is the Distortion World. Back at the Battle Arcade, Platinum dishes out her last attack, making her the victor. Dahlia is impressed with her win, but she knows that it's due to her own Pokemon being strong. Platinum, however, doesn't care about that stuff, instead rushing to her team's side. Dahlia gives her next print and tells her to ask away at her questions. First off, the Distortion World, the place she's heard about by name. It's the other side of their world and everything's twisted there, but she's never heard of a way to get there. However, she has spoke to another brain about the place, so she should speak to him, calling them over the screen. This brain being Fortin, the man in charge of the Battle Factory. As they speak, the connection starts dropping, but before it cuts, Palmer and Argenta appear. Either way, Platinum's gonna go to the Battle Factory next, so she'll beat him and get some more info. Another reason why she wants to go to his facility is due to the rules of using rental Pokemon. Luca went to Stark Mountain 5 hours ago, but he hasn't spoken to her, so it's clear that he needs help. But she has to take on the facilities, meaning her Pokemon can go help him while she fights with rental Pokemon. Not only that, but her other team members are healed up, so she sends her 6 Pokemon to rescue Luca. Heading into the Battle Factory and picking out the rule set, as well as her chosen 3, beginning her challenge. Also inside the factory is Argenta, Palmer, and Riley, who are trying to figure out why the connections are getting disrupted. Riley reveals that the aura of the area is pressurized, just like back at Spear Pillar. Back with Platinum, she's made it to her 6th battle of a second set, and Fortin is watching her, stating the importance of analyzing your opponent's Pokemon, with him even having a machine that specializes in it. After a while, Platinum clears every battle, and it's time for Fortin, and the first matchup is no good, being T-Tar vs Loudred. Platinum goes for Stomp, but in a battle of strength, it's not going to be easy, so instead she commands Roar, forcing Ledian out. Fortin aims to confuse with Supersonic, but with Soundproof, Loudred is immune. Platinum has a vast amount of knowledge, and even Fortin's impressed, but he isn't giving up, knocking out Loudred with Focus Punch. Kadabra is out next, so Fortin switches to Tyranitar, who's immune to psychic attacks. Or at least it should be, but with the use of Miracle Eye, even Tyranitar isn't safe. Over at the Battle Castle, the Rock is thinking about Platinum's progress. Caitlyn admires her skills, determination, and zeal. And she realizes that she hasn't fought in a battle in a while, and now she really wants to fight Platinum. And I mean really wants to fight Platinum. The Rock calms her down with the choice of afternoon tea, and an email comes in from Palmer asking for some assistance. Back on the battlefield, the sandstorm is raging, so Platinum debates switching out. She has 2 Pokemon left, while Fortin still has 3, so she decides not to switch and battle through, landing a punch directly on Tyranitar, taking it down. Fortin's got a perfect analysis on her style, sending out Ledian once again. Platinum switches into Quillfish, attacking with Rollout. So Fulton switches again, this time into Ursaring. The Pokemon's unnaturally speedy, all thanks to Ledian using agility and Baton Pass. With a simple Earthquake, Qwilfish goes down. Ledian comes back in again, but it faints immediately due to getting poisoned by Qwilfish. So now things have gone back to one-on-one. Kadabra's already weakened though, and with the two Pokemon exchanging blows, it's quickly turning into a boxing match. Ursaring lands a mean left hook, and Fulton declares victory, but Palmer and Argenta reveal that's not the case. Both the Pokemon were punching, however one was using Drain Punch, giving the victory to Platinum. Fulton doesn't accept defeat easily, but it's clear that Platinum outsmarted him. With this battle now being done, there's some serious business to attend to. The communication devices have been down for hours, seemingly due to the activity on Stark Mountain. Platinum has questions for them, but Palmer has a question for her, introducing himself and thanking her for helping his son. Now we're going to do a little bit of a weird time skip into the battle hall, where Platinum's already facing off against Argenta in a one-on-one battle. Palmer's watching the battle and Dirac arrives. Both trainers comment on Platinum's challenge here, having to fight 169 battles before she can face Argenta, which amounts to 2 days of non-stop battling. You're probably wondering how we got here, and that's by Platinum's team returning from Stark Mountain, along with an injured Looker and Buck. Both trainers are now in the hospital unconscious, and Buck's friends from the battleground are looking out for him. From right to left, we've got Mira, Cheryl, and Marley. They're not going to let this incident go lying down. Marley's received a letter from Professor Oak. Since they can't understand Pokemon, they don't know what's happened, and because of this, Platinum has no other option but to continue her challenge until they wake up. For this battle, Platinum's using her Frostlass, which was gifted to her by Candice. After going through all of these battles, she believes her Pokemon can win, even against a Dragonite, tanking a Steel Wing with the use of a berry and taking down Dragonite, earning her the victory and another print. Dirac tells Palmer about his findings, showing him a picture of a dragon Pokemon. After a battle, Palmer brings Platinum over to the battle tower, where he, Riley, Fulton, and Dirac are working hard to figure out this Team Galactic and Distortion World situation. Right now, their communication's fallen so bad that they're isolated to everywhere else. Platinum's also realized that Palmer's Pearl's father, and he introduces her to Riley. Palmer hasn't been home for many years as he had been training, resulting in him being completely unaware of the hardships Pearl went through. But Platinum reassures him that Pearl's proud of him, and she would have never gone to this level without the skills that he taught his son. Speaking of, now we head back to Pearl and Diamond, as well as their tag-alongs. The chairman wants to know why Dr. Footsteps is here, and that's all because of Reg, Dia's Regigigas. After the battle at Spear Pillar, it locked itself inside its Pokeball, but when it does come out, Dr. Footsteps will be there to understand what he's saying. As for the chairman, he wants to stop Charon from getting to the legendaries and mythicals. Right now, Diamond and Pearl are headed to Rotom, after learning about it from Professor Rowan. Dr. Footsteps isn't interested, since it won't have a footprint, so Diamond and Pearl will go alone, since they already know the Pokemon. They arrive at the old chateau, and the place is still creepy. Rotom is hiding in the TV, and he asks the Pokemon to come out, which it does, dashing everywhere and dodging their attacks. The Pokemon flees to Eterna City, and Diamond finds a key on the floor, wondering if it has something to do with where Rotom went. When they arrive, they do a skit to help them relax, and prepare to enter the abandoned galactic building. Inside, they find Rotom, and chase after it, leading them to a secret room, where the key fits in perfectly. Inside lies many appliances, and Rotom goes inside the washing machine, using Hydro Pump, then into the microwave oven, using Overheat, and next is the fan with Air Slash, blasting him out of the wall. It switches once again, now to the refrigerator, using Blizzard, and lastly a lawnmower with Leaf Storm. Pearl realizes that they have to lure it into the TV, just like before, asking Dia to hold it off. He rushes over to the chateau and brings back the TV, but when he returns, everything's perfectly chill. He wakes up Dia and he explains that Rotom was just showing off its powers instead of battling them. And thanks to Dia's trait of empathizing, he was able to get along with the Pokemon. The Pokemon's strong enough to protect itself from Charon, so they give it a warning and say their goodbyes. But Rotom wants to join them, so a new ally joins Diamond's team. Meanwhile, Marley has made it to the Flower Paradise, as per request of Oak's letter. But more importantly, in this paradise lies an entrance to the Distortion World. Residing here is Paka and Yuji. They have no clue on how long they've been here, but all they know is that a huge Pokemon is the king of this world. A hole opens up to the real world, and the Eterna statue is present, so this Pokemon transforms and completely destroys it. We now head to Veilstone City, where Cynthia and her grandma are looking at meteorites. Her grandma shows her the building where Cynthia fought Cyrus, namely the time when she used the unmastered Draco Meteor. There will be a time where she wants to use the move again, but just because she's champion doesn't mean she's perfect. The meteors they're looking at now were called upon by her grandma when she was younger, and it's exactly how she managed to master the move. So now it's time for Cynthia to begin her training. In Eterna City, the hole created by the Pokemon is present, so Pac and Yuji try to escape. But no matter how much they try, the physics of the world don't allow them. After all, it's all under control by that Pokemon, and they're not the only ones to witness that, as Dialga and Palkia have also been trapped there too. Before the legends arrived, the Pokemon chased after them like toys, but as soon as they got dragged in here, it's changed its target and now wants to switch places with them and take control of the regular world. Suddenly, Charon appears, and he's not here to help them, instead showcasing them a hole where Diamond and Pearl are. Both trainers rush to the scene in Eterna, where the new Pokemon is. Reg appears out of his Pokeball, ready for battle, and Charon aims to get rid of Diamond and Pearl, so he can have the Pokemon to himself, taking out his Heatran. Because Reg is fighting, it means the trouble is serious, and Charon confirms this, as Giratina has made its move. It begins attacking the city, destroying the Rickshaw Cycle Shop, and more. Diamond and Pearl check the notebook for some information, and out of the rubble appears the Team Galactic commanders. Now that Cyrus is gone, Charon has shown his true colors, but he's still not their target. Instead, they're gonna go through the hole and save Cyrus. This battle's intense, and even the late Guardians have appeared to stop it. Dia fights Charon, and Regigigas finally gets into the swing of things. Pearl's task is to take down Giratina, so he splits up, leaving Charon to Dia. Moving away from the action, Fortin has finished fixing the device. Although they have no connection, with Riley's aura, they can create a temporary opening. So all they need to do now is find their culprit. Fortin's tired now, and Darak has to take care of Caitlyn. As for Dahlia and Argenta, they have to keep the facilities open, so none of them can leave. But fortunately, Mira and Cheryl are here to help, and we can't forget about our lady, Platinum. So with the team of Riley, Palmer, Platinum, Cheryl, and Mira, the group prepare to head out, using Palmer's legendary Cresselia. As they cross the seas, Volkner and Flynn watch over them. Flynn is pissed about what happened to Buck, so he's going to deal with the situation before anyone else. And speaking of situations, Giratina is currently going rampant. Pearl analyzes the battle, learning that the Pokemon is Dragon Ghost type. Charon antagonizes the Pokemon, forcing it to hide in the shadow and attack with Shadow Force. Diamond sees what's coming, pushing his friend out of the way and getting directly stabbed by the attack. Pearl cries out for his friend, and Regigigas begins to leave, upon seeing its trainer fall. Pearl wants his revenge, but right now, Charon has control over Heatran and Giratina. His rage, however, isn't alone, as Dia's Pokemon are all angry too, and so they're gonna make Charon pay. And suddenly, Regigigas returns, placing down Rotom's appliances, with the two Pokemon attacking Charon with everything. Even the combined power of Giratina and Heatran mean nothing to the angered Titan. Giratina realizes it isn't built for this, running back to the Distortion World, along with Charon. The Chairman and Dr. Footsteps arrive, and they trace the footsteps of the legendary Pokemon. Giratina is harboring a deep grudge, and it wants to dominate everything. Meanwhile, Regigigas is feeling deep sorrow. Suddenly, Dia's body begins to fuzz out, eventually disappearing in a flash. On Route 224's Flower Paradise, Marley lets out a request to meet with a Pokemon, as a shaman awakens. Over with Volkner and Flint, the hole that was present before has vanished, and according to the rumors, if they pass through Turnback Cave, they can find the route to the underworld. The cave is foggy and eerie, but the two have been training for months, sensing a presence and preparing to fight. As for the others, their destination is the Spring Path. Platinum asks Palmer about Cresselia, and he explains that he met her on Full Moon Island. Weeks ago, Eldridge's son fell asleep and hadn't woken up, so they did some research, learning if they go to Full Moon Island, they can manage to wake him up. However, when they got to the island, all the Pokemon were sleeping as well. This was until Cresselia appeared, using Lunar Dance and gifting them a Lunar Wing, as well as joining Palmer's team. The group then finally arrive at their destination, sensing the aura of someone, being Marley, and Surd's Team Galactic Grun. He hands Marley back to them and reveals he's not here to fight. In fact, he's left Team Galactic and is trying to run. Every Grunt is controlled by a hive mind, but he was freed after the fight with Surd, and now he has no idea who he is. So he came here, as no one goes near the route to the underworld. Platinum asks if you can reach the Distortion World through this place, and he confirms this to be the case. Riley confirms that he's telling the truth. Marley says that he's been scared the whole time. Platinum can't forgive him yet, but she'll follow along for now. She then gets a call from Pearl, who asks where she is, as he's also headed for the send-off spring. But as for Dia, he finds himself in the Distortion World. The others also arrive in the Distortion World, and the Grunt wants to go, but Platinum has him stay until they complete their goal, promising to protect him from Team Galactic. They all link arms as they enter the world, and everything's really twisted. The group end up still getting separated for now, and Charon flies by. The Battleground group head after him in order to get revenge, and Paka and Yuji meet up with Platinum for the first time. A roar then sounds as Giratina fights Volkner and Flynn, and I gotta be honest, these two are cold as hell. The two of them are having fun fighting against a strong foe, preparing a massive attack with Discharge and Lava Plume. Their attack is fierce, but Giratina repels the attack with Dragon Breath, taking them both down. The Galactic Commanders are watching this battle, and Mars is fallen for Volkner. Charon then appears, asking them to deal with the Battleground group, and the Commanders prepare to fight. Not for Charon's sake though, instead to help them find Cyrus. Both sides are extremely skilled, but the Galactic Commanders have the slight edge. Platinum spots the battle from afar and gives Marley a versus recorder in order to help her learn how to counter Jupiter's fighting style, reminding Palmer of a Pokemon that also changes types to fight. Suddenly though, he gets attacked by an unknown foe, separating him from his friends. Diamond understands that he's in the Distortion World, and a voice asks how he knows this. He explains that he's felt it before, once when Paka and Yuji got sent there, secondly when he tried to fill the hole at Spear Pillar, and now recently when he was attacked by Giratina, which made him adapt to the environment, and why he ended up here, with Cyrus. Diamond asks Cyrus about Giratina. The Pokemon was strong and angry, so they have to find a way to calm it down, which he probably knows about. Cyrus explains that Dialga and Palkia have been imprisoned, and they're the only ones who can stop Giratina, so they're gonna have to free them. Diamond wonders if it's something he actually wants to do, considering his previous acts, but after being trapped here, he's thought about a lot of things. He was born in a sunny city, but always stayed indoors with machines. He wanted to make the perfect mechanism in a new universe, but things went wrong, and he ended up here. The machine at Veilstone was made by coincidence when he was trying to make a new universe, and so he rejected it because it didn't fit his rationale. Having a weak, incomplete heart due to his logic held him back, but after seeing a complete heart from Diamond and his friends, he now only wishes that he had someone to guide him when he was young. Diamond doesn't get exactly what he's saying, but knows that he's got it wrong, slapping Cyrus. Instead, what he needs is a straight man. Cyrus has no problems changing his ways, promising to help Dia in any way they can, as they try to free the legendaries, whilst also asking what a straight man is. If you're also wondering what a straight man is, well, let's take a look at one, as Pearl's arrived in the Distortion World. He's super confused by the nature of everything, and most of all, the fact that his father just fell out of the sky after not seeing him for years. Palmer tells him to call him daddy, but Pearl's focused on the fact that he hasn't been home for too long. However, he's happy the stuff that he taught him was helpful in his journey. Back in the day, Palmer used to train with Crash Awake, and Pearl says that he's his master now, just like what happened with his dad. After the battle at Spear Pillar, he got injured, as well as the other gym leaders, and Palmer tells Pearl to channel his anger into this fight, as he's up against Darkrai, so they'll take it on together. The Pokemon's been targeting him due to Cresselia, but Palmer works things out, dealing damage with Aqua Ring and letting Cresselia get hit by Hypnosis. He then commands Psycho Shift in order to put Darkrai to sleep. Pearl wonders why his dad doesn't just find a job with his skills, and Palmer reveals that he now works as a Battle Frontier's Tower Tycoon. Palmer's curious where Dia is, but sadly, he was lost in the battle against Giratina. Or so they think, but Dia appears alongside Dialga. Pearl's surprised at everything that's going on, especially when Cyrus and Palkia also appear. Platinum hears a shouting from below, and they head over to meet her, as well as Paka and Yuji. With everyone finally reunited, things are looking really good. But the Grunt is revealed to have the Lake Guardians by his side, and the Pokemon rush at the trainers, but not to attack them, instead to give them back their Pokedexes. The Grunt had been struggling alone for a long time, but the Lake Guardians understood him, hence why he left Team Galactic. Suddenly though, he gets stabbed in the back by Darkrai. This Pokemon was too much to handle, even for Surd, so she released it. There was a time where he also used to look after the Pokemon, but whenever it left its ball or was around people, it gave them nightmares. Charon then appears, revealing Darkrai now listens to him, along with Heatran, but Regigigas is on their side to help them. Down below, Volkner and Flynn prepare for round 2, but Giratina's going rampant, interfering with everyone's battle, and accidentally kidnapping Shaman. The legendary Pokemon all attack each other, and Charon is geeking out over his dream coming true. Platinum interferes with his plans though, as her Pokemon are now healed, but they're all breathing heavily. This isn't due to a sickness though, instead they've gotten stronger. Over at the hospital, Yanase hears from Daisy that there's a contagious virus going around, making Pokemon stronger, which they call Pokerus. And with his boost, Platinum easily defeats Charon as he flees preparing his trump card. All the trainers reunite, knowing they can't let this battle continue. The Pokemon all have beef for different reasons, whether it's evil people or just naturalness, so now they have to aim to fix that. Shaman then jumps to Cyrus, blooming its flowers. In Oak's letter, he said that after all these human incidents, it's possible that Pokemon might hold a grudge against humans. Which is especially sad for Marley, who really loves Pokemon. But Oak didn't want her to lose hope yet, so he sent her to seek out Shaman with a Gracidia flower, hoping that a chance of gratitude may appear when least expected. The Pokemon all begin falling asleep thanks to the effects of Darkrai, and a Dragon Pulse is coming their way. But Shaman jumps up using Worry Seed, awakening the other Pokemon and stopping Giratina. Charon continues his plan, but with the Gracidia flower, Shaman transforms into Skyform, chasing after him. Diamond, Pearl and Platinum chase after them, and Platinum's Cherrim begins transforming, meaning they're headed outside. Shaman gets defeated, and Giratina escapes outside, only to be met with a storm of Draco Meteors, completely dropping the Pokemon, as planned by Cynthia's grandma. Cynthia explains that Giratina has been away from sunlight for all this time, so it was going to be headed for the sunniest point in Sinnoh, Sunny Shore City. Charon escapes with a smoke bomb, but the Sinnoh trio aren't going to let it happen again. So instead, he tries to use his machine to control the legends, and the hole to the Distortion World begins to close. The gang tried to stop him, but he can control any Pokemon, if he has the right frequency. Suddenly, this machine gets destroyed out of nowhere, as the Pro Team Omega figure appears, zapping Charon. This miracle ends up being the work of Rotom, who is a fellow mecha fan. Everyone else escapes from the Distortion World, and Cyrus tells Charon that he's impressed by his ability to control Pokemon from a machine. He then tells all of his admins that Team Galactic is now disbanded. Jupiter can't stand that. After all, they spend their whole life following him, and even Saturn and Mars know they can't be regular citizens after this. So Cyrus allows them to come with him. He tells the Dex holders that their hearts and souls have made them respectable warriors, thanking them and taking his leave. Charon is surprised that they can escape just like that, but Looker arrives, revealing they're gonna have to face punishment when he catches them. But for now, he'll just be taking Charon. And tagging along with him was Buck, so everything's a perfect happy ending. Until Giratina awakens once again. But suddenly, it gets attacked by Volkner and Flynn, dropping the Pokemon for good, finally granting their win against the legend. Dialga and Palkia loom over it, and it accepts its defeat, heading back into the Distortion World. Dialga and Palkia also return to Spear Pillar, along with the Lake Guardians going back to their lakes. Regigigas and Rotom are staying with Diamond, and Cresselia is going to stay with Palmer. The Battleground group take Heatran back to Stark Mountain, and Shaman decides to stay with Marley. As for Darkrai, it leaves, and they hope that it can find a place where it will be at peace. Professor Rowan and Mr. Berlitz are also on the scene, knowing they're going to have to do a ton of info updating. But at least this time, they have Yannisei and Platinum helping. Cynthia says that now that they've got a happy ending, she can take her grandma to get some more Moo Moo milk. Looker gets a call that he's got a new mission, so Team Galactic are going to have to be dealt with by someone else. Instead, he needs to go to Unova to do some looking into the 7 sages. So he prepares to say his goodbyes, but before he goes, he has to give them an egg. He went on a mission in a region called Fior, where some Pokemon Rangers were protecting an egg, but they gave it to him so some trainers in Sinnoh could hatch it. So that's going to be their job. Dr. Footsteps reveals that Giratina's footsteps no longer have any rage or grudge anymore. So now everything's finally completely resolved, 100% with no loose ends. Well, it would have been, but Platinum still needs to fight Palmer. Before she does that though, she wants to see one more routine from Diamond and Pearl. After all, it has been a long time. So our journey's finally reached its ending. The gym leaders all recovered and headed back to work, and Joanna's keeping up with her dancing. The scientists are working hard, and Looker is off to Unova, and Diamond and Pearl are finally back on the stage, where they began. And of course watching them is their #1 fan, Platinum. So we finally bring our adventures in Sinnoh to an end. Nah, I'm joking, even mangas get post-credit scenes, you know. Some time has passed, and in Selassian Town, the egg has hatched into a Manaphy. The group's been at Selassian Town's daycare, where the Johto daycare couple now reside. They hatched the egg into a Manaphy, and then Manaphy had its own egg, which hatched into a Phione. Pokemon eggs are pretty interesting, and there was once a trainer whose personality affected the eggs that they hatched. He used to work for them, and his skills were unprecedented. This boy is one we all know all too well, and he finds himself in a tough challenge, heading into battle. But that's a story for another day, and by that, I mean literally the next arc, as we return to Johto for the Heart Gold and Soul Silver arc. I really hope you enjoyed the Sinnoh adventure as much as I did, as I think this is easily one of the strongest arcs when put together. It's just a shame that the Sinnoh gang are yet to return as main characters in the story. Well, let me know your own thoughts and opinions in the comment section down below. And with all that said and done, I'll catch you all in the next one. Take care!